Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you for hanging out. Today I am going to film the most basic of beginner dip tutorials. I know a lot of people are just getting into doing their own nails at home because all the salons are closed, and I think that a dip system is probably the easiest way to transition into doing your own nails. There's very few products that you actually need to have at home to get this done. There are so many things that you can add on, but this is truly for the beginner who has just ordered a dip system and can't even just run to Sally's and grab, buffers and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to show you a very simple one color dip with just one dip powder, the dip liquids, 2 nail files, because I kind of assume most people, if they're trying to do their nails at home, will have nail files, a cuticle pusher. Again, most people with a manicure set at home will have something like this, and also a old toothbrush. Mine is dedicated entirely to dipping, but if you're hard up at home and you can't go anywhere and get a spare toothbrush like a dollar store if they're all closed, you can just, well clean a toothbrush, use that. So there's also one other thing that is kind of recommended. I don't have one with me because I'm just sitting down at my nail station. It is a toothpick or an orange wood stick or something like this. Something that is pointed on the end and that you can clean up the cuticle line with. The cuticle line is around here when you're doing your dips. So I'm going to cut it off here. I'm going to flip down, I'm going to show you the things that you have to have and that probably came with your dip system, and we're going to get into doing this dip, getting it over with. I'm going to show you how simple it is to do your own nails at home, and yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I will see you when we're flipped down. Bye. Hey guys, okay, so I have myself all set up here. What would have come in your dip system typically is a 3-bottle system. You have your base, which is what you use to get the dip powder to stick to your nails. You have an activator, which is what cures the base and the dip powder together. And then you also have a top coat. This one is from Revel. It's called a finish gel. It's not actually a gel polish. It doesn't require a light to cure it or anything like that. And then you will have at least one dip. I am using a color called Helix by Nebula Dips. I'm going to link everything that I'm using in the description below in case you are on the lookout for things and don't have it at home yet. I've got my 2 nail files. One of them is a finer grit for doing final buffing, doing final shaping, and then I have one that's a little bit coarser to do initial shaping and to file down any big ridges or lumps or bumps that you're going to get. And you will get them, it's fine, you can take care of them with a nail file. I've got my cuticle tool, which, like I said before, can be an orange wood stick, it can be a toothpick, it can pretty much be anything pointy. And then I've got my cuticle pusher and my handy toothbrush. So when you're looking at my nails, please pretend that I don't have old gel on them. I haven't taken it off. I have to give myself like a proper manicure, but I wanted to get this filmed and get it up because I know a lot of people are looking for information on this right now. So at the beginning, you will want to take your cuticle pusher. I'm going to zoom in well, and of course, gently push your cuticles back. It is helpful to let your hands soak in some lukewarm water for 5 minutes ahead of time so that the invisible cuticle loosens and softens up and you can push it back, because invisible cuticle left on your nail bed is what's going to cause lifting of the dip. I'm not very aggressive about this. I suggest you're not aggressive about it because it's real easy to get really sore cuticles when you first start doing this. So gently push them back. I also am not a fan of nipping off any excess cuticle. I like to just push it back and kind of flip it up so that it is not in the way when you're doing your base and dips. Because I just find you end up in a vicious cycle of having to push back and nip them off. And eventually they will soften as long as you're taking care of them consistently. They'll soften and they won't start growing up the nail quite as high as when you're first starting out. So that's good. And like I said, seriously, just pretend that my nails are in decent shape and they're not, have gel lifting off of them and stuff like that. All right, so I've got my cuticles pushed back. The next thing I'm going to do is just a very initial shape. When you dip, your nails are going to get thicker, they're going to get wider, so you are going to have to shape after you've got all your dips done. But it is easy to just square off the top if you're doing like a coffin or a ballerina shape, or this little tiny baby quasi coffin, quasi squoval tapered square. Because that's what I've got going on right now with my short nails. So just a real quick initial shaping so that you have a decent guideline once you're all dipped and everything, and you can refine the shape and make it thinner and whatever you'd like to do. All right, so another nice thing to have is I have these lint-free wipe squares. You don't have to have this. You can use paper towel, or you can even use like a newspaper. I prefer newspaper. When I was first starting, that's what I used all the time because it truly is lint-free and you can wipe your brush off on it and not worry about it. So I'm gonna back my camera off just a little bit. I'm gonna get one of my lint-free wipes. I am going to first shake up my dip a little bit because it's nice to get it nice and fluffy in there. There we go. Set it aside, and then I'm going to get my base liquid. The base liquid is essentially super glue, so be careful with it. Don't get it on your fingers. Don't let it spill. Don't let it get attached to anything. Don't set your brush down. Yeah, I mean, it is super glue, let's be honest. So here we go. You want to apply your base as thinly as possible. I like to hold my hand like this as if I am doing somebody else's nails. Lay your brush flat on the nail, push it towards the cuticle but not touching the cuticle, and brush down. Like I said, as smoothly and as thinly as possible, avoiding your cuticle, and dip. And you also want to wipe your brush off so that you're not contaminating your base liquid. So wipe it off on either your paper towel, your newsprint, or your lint-free wipe if you have it. And now is when you will take your cuticle tool, whatever it is that you're going to use, and just go around the cuticle to make sure you don't have any dip or any liquid stuck to it. And that's how you get those pretty cuticle lines. So that's my first finger. So I'm going to go back and do exactly the same thing on all the others. And I'll show you again real close up. Lay the brush down, push the product towards the cuticle, but not touching the cuticle, and brush down smoothly. Wipe your brush off on your lint-free wipe or newsprint or paper towel. Dip, tap off, get your cuticle tool out, and go around. And you can probably tell this dip is a temp changer. It's awesome. I mean, you'll see when it's all done. I'll take some pictures and throw it up at the end of the tutorial. Very cool dip. And continuing on. In your first dip, sometimes you're going to have little spots that were missed or too thin or too thick or whatever the case is, especially on the first coat of your first dip. And even, you know, I mean, it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. But it's fun. It's relaxing for me. See, I missed this whole side here, but that's okay. I'll get it on the second layer. But don't give up. Don't get frustrated. It is a skill that you have to practice. I love it. I mean, you're not great at everything the first time you try it, so definitely don't get frustrated with this. Just keep practicing. You will get it, I promise. Another dip, another wipe, tap off. Alright, so that is the first layer of dip done. I like to do at least 2, usually 3 layers, just to get the strength from it, so I don't have to worry about anything chipping or breaking. And yeah, you'll typically get decent enough coverage with 2 dips, But like I said, you get the strength if you build up the layers, as long as you're keeping them thin. So after you've got all your dips done, and you've given it, you know, not even 2-3 minutes, just, you know, 30-40 seconds to dry on your nails, you're going to take your stiff brush, whether it is a nail brush or a toothbrush, and brush all the excess dip. And you want to brush it off aggressively, because you don't want any loose dip on your nail that can contaminate your base brush, because that will make your liquids go chunky and gloopy and be basically unusable. And that is the whole point, again, too, of wiping off every time you brush the nail. Before your brush goes back into your base bottle, brush it off. So I'm going to get a fresh wipe now, get my dip back, and go in for the second layer. Same process, lay the brush down, push the product toward the cuticle, and pull it down. And I find also, if you have your nails angled this way towards you and down, you don't get any cuticle flooding of dip liquids where it can pool there. And that is also another reason why people see lifting, is if they've got liquid pooling by their cuticle and touching the skin and their nail at the same time. Then obviously when your nail grows, it's going to lift away. Okay, for the sake of this tutorial and making it a nice short one, I'm going to leave this at 2 dips so that I can show you how to get to activating, buffing, filing, and finally doing your finish coat, your top coat. So I'm going to give this again another second or 2, and then I'm going to start brushing off with the finger that I started on. And again, I brush off fairly aggressively. Because if the dip isn't stuck to your nail at this point, there's no point in leaving it on your finger. Yep, that's dry. So next, you are going to take your activator and well saturate every nail. I even cap my edges when I'm doing this coat of activator, because this is what cures all the dip that you just put on your finger. And you don't want to lose any of it when you're buffing and filing, because you'll just have to go back and re-dip, and that is unpleasant. Especially once you get into doing designs and things like that, and you will. You don't want to have to go back and redo all the hard work that you just did. So well saturate with activator, cap the edges, and try to avoid getting activator on your skin. It's not, you know, it doesn't burn or anything like that, but it's not meant to go on your skin. So do your best. It's not a huge deal if you get a little bit on there, but avoid it if at all possible. So there's the activator on. I like to give this 30-40 seconds to fully dry. It kind of evaporates, it doesn't really dry. And that's when you will go in with your nail file and buff any areas that are lumpy and bumpy. And then also do your finish, the finishing of the shaping of your nail. So to buff the nail, you will buff right on the dip that you did. It should be cured and well secured onto your nail from that activator. So you're gonna just buff over the whole nail to make it nice and smooth. And when you're first starting out, it's very, very typical that you're gonna have a lot of like ridges and valleys, and that's fine. You can buff anything away. Just go easy on your cuticles. Don't beat them up too much. Try to stay away from your skin with the file, because man, cuticles hurt when they get cut and irritated. Just be careful with your buffing. Go slowly. I do actually have a very, very in-depth beginner guide to dipping that shows you a bunch of different tools that are nice to have around when you're dipping and you're just starting out. This I wanted to treat as if you just got a starter kit and you can't run to the store, so you're just using what's in the kit and what you probably have at your house. But I will link, probably I'll just like link it in a little tile up here to my way more in-depth, very long, very wordy beginner's guide to dip there. I also have a ton more tutorials for different designs, a lot of things that look complicated but really aren't, and we've all got a lot of time right now, so subscribe, join me. Learn to do the fun stuff with your dip nails. It's honestly so relaxing for me, and it gives me something to do in the evenings and focus on, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed, obviously. And this color I am also obsessed with. So at this point you can go and you can rinse your hands with cold water, absolutely no soap, and dry them super, super well. So I am actually going to go do that, and I will be back to you guys in 1 second. Hey guys, okay, I'm back. I have my nails rinsed well and dried very well. So now it's time to do your top coat. This part is the part that trips a lot of people up when they're first starting because it is a bit of a timing game. So what you want to do, and if you're doing both hands at the same time, which most people do because most people are normal and have matching manicures on both hands, I don't, you are going to take your activator, again, well saturate the nail. And this is kind of where your clock starts ticking. You're not going to run out of time. It's not, you know, down to the second. But once you apply this coat of activator, you're committing to your top coat. That's not to say that, you know, if you put activator on and something happens, you know, the doorbell rings or your phone rings or, you know, a kid gets into something, that you can't put a top coat on. You're just going to have to start your activator process again. So I've got them all activated, and then I'm not kidding when I say set a timer for 2 minutes, because this is where people run into trouble. So wait 2 minutes for this activator to dry, and then you're going to start your top coat on the finger you started your activator on. I'm going to let this count down, and I will be speeding through this so you don't have to sit here for 2 minutes and look at my hands. Okay, so now you want to have your finish gel open, ready to go. Another lint-free surface to wipe it on between fingers. And this first coat of finish gel, top coat, whatever your dip system calls it, is going to be quick. You do 1-2 swipes per finger, wipe your brush off. It does not have to be a perfect coat, it just needs to be on there. 1-2 swipes, wipe your brush off. And then by the time you have finished all 5 fingers on this hand, you can go back and start your second and more precise top coat on the finger you started on. And this is why I think it's important to do this one hand at a time, because you don't want to leave things too long. Your activator still has to be present so that it can cure the top coat, but it can't still be wet. It just has to be lingering underneath in those layers of dip to get through and cure this finish gel. But this coat you can be more precise on. I will cap my edges on this coat as well. But again, the finish gel or the top coat, whatever you want to call it, very important to not touch your skin or touch the cuticles, because this is the layer in the coat that finishes off your manicure and seals it. It is thick enough that if you are touching your cuticles or the sidewalls of your fingers, it will cause, again, lifting as your fingernail grows. So do your very best. And again, I know as soon as you're starting, when you're starting out fresh doing your own manicures, you're gonna hit skin, you're gonna do all sorts of things that you're wishing you didn't, but you will improve. Just stick with it, honestly. Don't get frustrated. Just keep practicing. And that is it for this dip. I am going to give this about a minute to fully cure, and then I will come back and show you guys the finished product. I'm going to put a bit of cuticle oil on. To be honest with you, it probably is already cured. It is cured. But again, I don't like to mess with it. I like to give it at least a minute to fully set up so that I don't end up with any fingerprints or anything like that in my top coat. So I'm going to end this part here, and I'm going to flip the camera back up and show you guys what it looks like when it's totally done and once I've got some cuticle oil on. Hey guys, okay, so that is it. That is all it takes to do a dip at home. I hope that you find it helpful. If anybody has any questions, I am very, very, very happy to answer them. You can leave a comment below. I get back to you as soon as I humanly can. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can find me under my name, Tina Soundy. You can find me on Instagram also at 10_by_x_Tina. I'll link all that stuff below as well. I'm always very happy to answer questions. I love chatting nails. And so this is the finished manicure. This dip is so cool. It is, again, called Helix by Nebula Dips. I'm going to leave a link to this product and to her shop down below. She makes some of the most unique and some of the coolest dips you're gonna find anywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna link everything below. I again will add another little card to my massive, very in-depth, very wordy, probably too long beginner's guide to dip. If you have a chance to get online and order some of the nice to haves instead of the absolutely have to haves. Yeah, so I hope you guys find this helpful. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Subscribe if you're not. Follow me on Instagram if you're not. I love doing giveaways. And I will talk to you guys on the next video. Bye.